Let's move on. China has hit back at the US a day after President Barack Obama promised to take a tougher line with Beijing over currency and trade. Mr. Obama vowed to ensure that countries were not giving their currencies an unfair advantage over the dollar. US companies have long complained that China keeps its currency artificially undervalued, allowing a steady flow of cheap exports around the world. But China says the value of the Chinese yuan is at a reasonable level and that China's not pursuing a trade surplus with the United States. Chinese trade figures released in December showed China likely to overtake Germany as the world's largest exporter, with exported goods worth $1.2 trillion in 2009. Meanwhile, the US is facing massive deficits that aren't projected to return to sustainable levels for at least a decade, and that's Barack Obama's predictions. The Chinese leadership is lending much of the money to finance the American government's spending. And this program, we ask, is this leading to a newfound confidence in China over international issues? As we've seen tensions over climate change, arms to Taiwan, the Dalai Lama, Iran, the internet, and more.
Well, of course, America is still the world's largest economy by far, and China's exports still depend on the American market to a great extent. So, and of course, America is still geopolitically very, very strong in the world. So there is a lot of pressure America can exert on China, but it doesn't mean that China necessarily have to buckle, because all these issues, the currencies, the questions about Tibet, questions about Taiwan, they are all very much part of the core interests of China, and it's unlikely that China will be able to give way, because on the currency, for example, the renminbi, the China's financial system is not fully liberalized, and it's not fully robust to withstand the complete liberalization that is required for a abrupt jump in the renminbi, because there would be a lot of inflow and outflow of speculative capital.
I think it's not the first time there have been issues that plague bilateral relationships. Actually, these troubles, like U.S. selling arms to Taiwan and President Obama going to meet with the Dalai Lama, and China has known this for quite some time, so it wasn't a secret, and they've sort of had time to prepare for that, and the U.S. side knows, China will react angrily, at least in public, will protest and will have some retaliation measures. So, neither side was actually surprised by any of this, and in the past there have been plenty of problems, issues like in the past when also U.S. leaders met with the Dalai Lama when he visited, trade issue, U.S. relations with Taiwan. So none of it is actually new, and I don't think somehow the fundamental relationship of the two countries is going to change because of the recent events.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in a way, all these issues are nothing new. But on the other hand, there are new angles to it. There are new factors that are coming to the fore. For example, in terms of the currency, the renminbi. Of course, that's happened right when the countries are still struggling out of the financial crisis, and then while China has recovered extremely well out of this this big challenge, the Western economies, including the United States, are still struggling. So there is a confrontation there, in the sense that the jobs are still, unemployment is still very, very high, and that it's easy for the politicians in the West to blame China of processes being outsourced to China. On the question of Tibet, of course, this happened after the recent unrest in Tibet. So it's still a very, very sensitive point for China. On Taiwan, again, when Ma Ying-jeou has won the presidency, then that gives China a sense of relative ease as far as the relationship between Taiwan and the mainland is concerned. But now, Ma Ying-jeou's appeal is declining. And at the same time, The other camp, the green camp in Taiwan, for example, is the influence is rising. So that worries China a bit. And at that time, at this very sensitive time, America is selling arms to China. So again, there are new dimensions which have arisen, which translate into a deeper worry for China. And China, of course, seeing the rising tide of protectionism. And with protectionism, it affects the jobs in China and indirectly the stability of the Chinese government.
I don't think it will fundamentally change the relationship, but China inevitably will protest. It has consistently protested when Western leaders meet with the Dalai Lama. So in the past, China also protested to European leaders when they met with the Dalai Lama. So China can't just protest when other leaders meet the Dalai Lama, but somehow protest less when it's the U.S. president. So it's going to obviously protest, and it's against that. But we've had such meetings. I just used the example of European leaders, and China would kind of react. But in the long term, I think all these countries think they still need to collaborate on a number of issues, and there are many other issues that need to work together on. And also, the relationship actually benefit both sides. So I think they are already experienced in managing these issues. I mean, China would certainly have, made this point clear to the U.S. long ago that, if the president meets with the Dalai Lama, then that will, serious damage relationship. And the U.S. would, has that tried to explain to China, well, we value the relationship, but at the same time, it's also important we meet with the Dalai Lama. So it's kind of ongoing.